Welcome, sleepy soul. I'm your storyteller tonight, here to help you drift into deep, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, and for more bedtime stories, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. And if there's a story you'd like to hear next, I'd love to know that too. I still remember the day I landed my first real job. Not because it was exciting, but because of everything that happened after. After high school, I didn't have the luxury of taking a gap year or figuring out what I wanted to do. My folks were struggling. My dad's back injury kept him from doing long shifts at the factory, and my mom's diner barely kept the lights on. So the moment I graduated, I promised myself I'd find a steady job. For a whole month, I filled out applications, took buses across town, sat through endless interviews, most of them leading nowhere. But somehow, I got lucky. Or at least I thought I did. A small private accounting firm on the outskirts of Cedar Bluff, a quiet Pennsylvania town, called me back. The name was Dawson and Creekman Financial. The building wasn't impressive, 2 stories, brick facade, a cracked parking lot. But it felt like a start. There were 23 of us at the final interview. Only 2 of us got the job, me and a girl named Kara Mills. She was about my age, maybe a year younger, with auburn hair that caught sunlight like copper wire. We hit it off right away, both nervous, both grateful, both determined to prove ourselves. The others, though, our co-workers, didn't seem too happy about it. From day one, something was off. The office had that typical fluorescent buzz, the stale smell of old carpet, and the constant tapping of keyboards. But the people looked at us like we'd walked into their private club uninvited. They didn't talk much to us. They'd whisper, glance over their shoulders. And sometimes when we'd pass through the hallway, someone would accidentally shoulder us. During lunch, Kara and I would sit at the corner table, eating quietly while the rest sat together, laughing, staring, muttering things under their breath. One day, Kara leaned over and whispered, "Do they always have to act like we're ghosts?" I tried to laugh it off. Maybe it's just new guy hazing. She looked around. Then they're taking it too far. And she was right. Sometimes when I'd stay late to finish a file, I'd feel eyes on me. The hallway lights would flicker, and the reflection in the glass wall across the office would catch movement that wasn't there when I turned around. It wasn't just paranoia. Once, when Kara left her purse in the break room, she swore someone had gone through it. Another time, I found my desk drawer slightly open, though I'd locked it before leaving. Still, we kept quiet. We needed the job. A month later, things changed. It was a Wednesday when Tyler, one of the senior employees, walked up to our table at lunch. He had slick black hair and this cocky grin that made you want to punch him. "Hey, rookies," he said, leaning on the table. "You two doing anything Friday night?" Kara looked up cautiously. "Not really." "Why?" "It's my buddy's birthday. Brad's. Big house party. Everyone from the office is going. You two should come. You know, blend in, stop looking like you're scared of us." He smirked. The others at his table snickered. Kara gave me a look, half nervous, half curious. I shrugged. "Sure, why not?" Tyler grinned. "Cool. It's out on Ridgeway Drive, number 42. Don't be late. We start after 9. Friday came fast. Kara picked me up in her old blue Honda. She was wearing a denim jacket, hair tied back, and looked as nervous as I felt. "You sure about this?" she asked as we drove past the empty road out of town. "Not really," I said, "but if it helps us fit in, maybe it's worth it." She sighed. "Yeah. Maybe the GPS led us off the main road onto a dirt driveway lined with trees. At the end stood a massive house, 3 stories high, with wide stone steps, white pillars, and an eerie quietness about it. There were no music or lights, no parked cars except 2, one of which I recognized as Tyler's black Ford. "Doesn't really look like a party," Kara muttered. We got out holding the small gift we'd brought, a bottle of bourbon wrapped in a paper bag. When we rang the bell, 2 co-workers I'd seen before, Lauren and Mitch, opened the door, both smiling strangely. "Welcome, welcome," Lauren said almost too cheerfully. "Come in. Everyone's downstairs." As soon as we stepped in, I realized something was off. There were no balloons, no music, no smell of food or drinks. The house was quiet, cold, the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're intruding. We followed them through a hallway that led to a large open room. And that's when Kara froze. On the floor, in the middle of the room, was a large red circle, drawn crudely with something that looked like blood. Inside it, pentagrams, symbols, candles, bones. On the walls, strange drawings made in the same reddish color. Everyone, about a dozen of them, stood around the circle dressed in black robes with hoods, faces hidden. My stomach dropped. "This isn't funny," Kara said, stepping back. "This isn't funny," Kara said, stepping back. Voice came from behind a mask. "Relax, it's a birthday ritual. Brad's idea." "What kind of ritual?" I asked, my voice shaking. From the stairs, someone appeared. Brad, the birthday guy. He wasn't wearing a mask, just a dark red robe, a twisted grin across his face. "Evening, friends," he said. "Glad you made it. Welcome to my party." Kara clutched my arm. "This isn't normal." Brad raised a hand. Now, no need to be scared. Think of it as an initiation." "Into what?" He smiled wider. "You'll see. But let's make it fun. Only one of you will walk out of here alive." The room erupted in laughter. I froze. "What the hell are you talking about?" "Rules are simple," Brad said, picking up a shotgun from a table. "You both have 1 minute to hide anywhere in the house. After that, I come find you. The one I find loses." Kara's eyes widened. "This is sick." "Relax," Tyler said, grinning. "It's just a game." But the way he said it, it didn't sound like one. Brad lifted his wristwatch. 1 minute. Starting now. The lights dimmed, and everyone started chanting something low, rhythmic, in a language I didn't understand. Kara grabbed my arm. "Run!" We split. She went upstairs. I ran toward the kitchen. The house was a maze. Long halls, locked doors, old furniture covered in sheets. Every step I took creaked under me. I found a place under a large oak table and crouched, heart hammering. I could hear Brad's footsteps echoing through the hall. Come out, wherever you are," he sang. I held my breath. Footsteps got closer. Then, silence. For a second, I thought maybe he'd gone upstairs. Then a voice whispered right behind me. "There you are." I turned. Brad stood there, grinning, pointing the shotgun at my face. My whole body went numb. He pulled the trigger. Click. A cold stream of water splashed on my cheek. He started laughing hysterically. The others came out of the shadows, laughing too. "Gotcha!" Tyler shouted. "Best initiation ever." Brad doubled over. "You should have seen your face." I just stood there, frozen. "You mean this was all a joke?" Brad nodded, wiping tears of laughter. "A prank, man. Office tradition. Every year we do it to the newbies. You're officially one of us now." Kara came running down the stairs, pale as a sheet. When she saw everyone laughing, her face twisted in disbelief. "You psychos," she yelled. "We thought we were going to die." Lauren smirked. "Welcome to Dawson and Creekman, sweetheart." Brad raised the fake shotgun like a trophy. "Best birthday ever." But the laughter didn't last. A sound echoed from upstairs. A thud followed by a sharp scream. Everyone stopped. Brad frowned. "Who's still up there?" Tyler called out, probably someone drunk. But before he could finish, the lights flickered. Then, one by one, every bulb exploded, shattering glass across the floor. The room went pitch black. Someone screamed again, this time closer. When the emergency light flickered back on, I saw something that froze me to my core. Lauren's body, slumped against the wall, her throat slit wide open. Everyone panicked. "Jesus Christ, what the hell?" Tyler shouted. Brad dropped the shotgun. This isn't funny anymore. Who did that? In the center of the room, inside the pentagram, something was moving. A shape. A figure. When the light steadied, we saw her. Kara. But she wasn't the same. Her face was pale, her eyes wide, and her smile slow, unnatural. She stepped inside the circle and whispered, "You all wanted to summon something, right?" Brad stuttered, Kara, what are you?" She tilted her head. "Finishing your game." Before anyone could react, the candles burst into flames. The heat was suffocating. Papers on the desks caught fire. The room smelled like burning hair and metal. Tyler tried to run, but something slammed him against the wall, hard. His neck bent at an angle it shouldn't have. Brad stumbled backward. You're doing this?" Kara smiled wider. "You called for it. You wanted the devil at your party. Well, you got me instead." Then she laughed. A laugh that didn't sound human. The flames rose higher. One by one, everyone started collapsing, choking, screaming, bleeding from their eyes. I crawled toward the exit, coughing, barely breathing. When I turned back, Kara stood in the middle of the burning room, surrounded by floating ash. Her eyes glowed faintly red. "Seth," she said softly, "see you Monday." And then the ceiling came down. When I woke up, I was outside on the lawn, covered in soot. Fire trucks and police were everywhere. The house was completely destroyed. A paramedic leaned over me. "You're lucky, son. You're the only one we found alive." They never found Kara's body. The official report said a gas leak caused the explosion. No one mentioned the symbols, the blood, the chanting. The next Monday, I went back to work. The office was quiet. A new batch of hires had already replaced everyone. And there she was, Kara, sitting at her desk like nothing had ever happened. She looked at me, smiled faintly, and whispered, "Hey, aren't you glad we're not the new ones anymore?" I never thought turning 18 would nearly cost me my life. My name's Riley Ward, and that night, my birthday night, still feels like a scar I carry somewhere deep inside, one that throbs every time I pass by a quiet house with its porch light flickering in the dark. I grew up in Crestwood, a small town just outside Bend, Oregon, the kind of place where you knew every single person by name, where gossip spread faster than wildfire, and every other house smelled faintly of pine and old wood. My parents were proud, working-class folks. Dad ran a mechanic shop on Main Street, and Mom was a nurse who never took a day off unless she absolutely had to. For months, I'd been talking about throwing a big birthday party when I turned 18. Nothing too crazy, just something memorable. Beer, friends, music. My parents were hesitant at first, but after weeks of convincing, they finally gave me permission. On one condition, no party at home. So my best friend Landon helped me rent a small place for the night, a cabin-style Airbnb sitting just off the highway, surrounded by woods and a lonely stretch of gravel road. It looked cozy in the listing photos, a string of warm yellow lights, a porch swing, a fire pit. The owner, a middle-aged woman named Marla, handed me the keys that afternoon. "Just make sure y'all don't go up to the attic," she said with a half smile, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Why?" I asked, half joking. "Old storage. Floorboards are weak. Don't want anyone getting hurt," she replied, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. I didn't think much of it then. By 8 p.m., people started arriving, music blasting from a Bluetooth speaker, red cups everywhere, the scent of cheap beer and perfume hanging heavy in the air. Everyone from school came. It felt like one of those rare nights where everything actually went right. "Riley! Birthday boy!" Landon shouted, wrapping his arm around me. "Man, you're officially an adult. Time to make some bad decisions." "Yeah," I laughed, clinking my cup against his, starting with this terrible beer. Everyone laughed. Someone turned up the music. Someone else brought out a cake. For a few hours it was perfect. Then I noticed her. She was standing near the staircase, quiet, alone, staring at me. At first I thought maybe she was one of Landon's friends. She had pale skin, dark hair falling over one eye, and a vintage-looking red jacket that looked out of place among the ripped jeans and hoodies. When our eyes met, she smiled slightly, then made her way toward me. "Hey," she said softly. Her voice was calm, almost melodic. "Happy birthday." "Thanks," I replied, unsure whether I'd met her before. "You're with Landon's group?" She shook her head. "No, I just heard about the party." That was odd. We didn't exactly invite randoms, but she didn't seem threatening, just strange. "Well, glad you came." "I'm Riley," I said. "I know," she replied, tilting her head. "I heard you're turning 18 today." Her eyes lingered on me in a way that made my chest tighten, not in a good way. But before I could respond, Landon yelled from the kitchen, "Riley! Dude, come do a shot with us." When I turned back, she was still staring. "Come on," I said with a grin. "You drinking or what?" She smiled faintly. "Maybe later. There's something I want to show you upstairs." Upstairs, the house felt quieter, the music faint beneath our feet. We passed a few closed bedroom doors, the faint glow of light spilling through the cracks. "What did you want to show me?" I asked. She stopped near a hallway closet and pointed to a small pull cord hanging from the ceiling. "You hear that?" I frowned. "Hear what?" "Something moving up there," she whispered. "In the attic." I chuckled nervously. "You're kidding, right?" "There's no one up there," but then I heard it too. A faint shuffle like something dragging across the floor. "Could be rats," I said quickly. "Or, old pipes or..." She grinned. "Come on, don't tell me the birthday boy's scared." Before I could stop her, she pulled the cord. A small wooden ladder creaked down from the ceiling, releasing a cloud of dust. "Wait," I started. "The owner said we shouldn't..." She was already climbing. The attic smelled like mildew and old wood. A single bulb flickered overhead, casting long shadows across boxes and sheets draped over furniture. I climbed up after her, my heart pounding harder with every creak of the ladder. "Okay," I said, trying to laugh it off. "We saw the attic. Can we go back down now?" She didn't respond. She was standing perfectly still, staring into the far corner of the room. "Hey," I said, stepping closer. "You good?" When she finally turned to me, her expression had changed. Blank, almost hollow. And then I saw movement behind her. A man stepped out of the shadows. Tall, gaunt, his face pale and twisted like melted wax. His eyes were empty sockets. In one hand, he held a long, rusted knife. "What the..." Before I could finish, the girl lunged at me, her hands unnaturally cold as she grabbed my face. The skin around her jaw cracked, and then peeled away, revealing bone beneath. "Don't worry, Riley," she hissed, her voice distorted. "It'll be over soon." Everything went black. When I woke up, my wrists and ankles were tied to a chair. The air was damp and smelled of iron and rot. Across from me was a tall mirror. Behind my reflection stood the man, the same hollow-eyed figure staring at me. "What the hell are you?" I screamed, struggling against the ropes. He tilted his head. "Not yet," he said. His voice was deep and broken, like static through an old radio. The girl, if I could still call her that, walked into view beside him. "We'll finish with him soon," she muttered. "Let's go downstairs." I watched as they both left, their footsteps fading away. That's when the memories started flooding back. The party, the laughter, the attic. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I twisted and pulled until my wrists burned, finally snapping one of the cords loose. My hand was bleeding, but I didn't care. I needed to get out. I crept down the stairs. The house was chaos, music still playing faintly from the speaker, red cups knocked over, and the smell of something burning. Then I heard it. Screams. My friends' voices. From the stairwell I saw them. The girl, skin half gone, and the man with the melted face. They were walking through the living room, dragging Landon by his arm. "Stop!" I yelled before I could think. The girl snapped her head toward me, her hollow eyes wide. "He's awake." I bolted for the door. Something heavy hit me from behind, slamming me into the floor. My vision blurred. I swung wildly, connecting my elbow with something soft. A hiss of pain echoed in the dark. I crawled toward the front door, kicked it open, and stumbled out into the night. The air outside was freezing, the trees whispering overhead. I could still hear them inside, laughing, screaming. I grabbed my phone, my fingers shaking. 911, I whispered. "Please help me. There's people, my friends." The dispatcher's voice crackled through. "Stay where you are, sir. Officers are on their way." When the police arrived, the house was quiet. The music had stopped. The lights were flickering. They found me sitting on the front porch shivering, my shirt soaked with blood that wasn't mine. Inside the house, no bodies, no sign of anyone else. No girl, no man, just overturned furniture and broken glass. They thought I was drunk, delusional, trauma from too much partying. They took statements, asked questions, and by morning I was home. Safe, they said. But it didn't feel safe. 2 nights later, I was driving home from a friend's house when I noticed headlights in my rearview mirror, a black sedan trailing close behind. I slowed down. The car slowed too. I turned onto a side road. It followed. "Not again," I whispered. When I finally pulled into my driveway, the car stopped at the end of the street, idling. Through the windshield, I could see a silhouette in the driver's seat, still, watching. Then it backed up slowly, disappearing into the night. I ran inside, locked the doors, turned on every light in the house. Mom called from her bedroom. "Riley, you okay?" "Yeah," I lied, "just tired." But when I looked through the front window one last time, my blood ran cold. Across the street, under the lamppost, stood the girl, her red jacket torn, her skin pale as bone. She raised her hand slowly, like a wave. Then she smiled and vanished. I don't go to parties anymore. I don't celebrate my birthday either, because some nights when the wind hits the house just right, I still hear faint laughter coming from the attic, and I know they're still looking for me. I always thought my 18th birthday would be the best night of my life. Turns out it was the night I learned I was never really human. It all started with my dad handing me a small envelope across the breakfast table. "Happy birthday, kid," he said, smiling behind his mug of black coffee. "You've been asking for something big. So, here it is." I tore the envelope open. It was a key, an old brass one with a ribbon tied around it. "What's this?" I asked, grinning. He leaned back. "It's for the lake house. You've got a free pass this weekend. Invite whoever you want. Go nuts. Just don't burn the place down, all right?" My mom rolled her eyes. "You're encouraging him to throw a party at that place?" "That lake house gives me the creeps," Dad chuckled. "It's a house by the water, Anna. Not a haunted asylum," I smiled, feeling like I'd just won the lottery. After months of exams, stress, and late-night breakdowns, a party was exactly what I needed. By Friday evening, I had a car full of friends, beer cans clinking, laughter echoing, music blasting through half-broken speakers. The air smelled like freedom. "Bro, this house is insane," Jake said, hopping out as soon as we arrived. "You didn't tell us it's got a freaking dock." "Yeah," I said proudly. "Dad bought it years ago. We barely come here anymore." The place sat at the edge of Coldwater Lake, an old timber cabin with a huge backyard that stretched into the woods. There was a fire pit, a pool, and a long pier that disappeared into the dark, quiet water. By 9, the house was alive, lights flashing, speakers thumping. Someone had poured vodka into a watermelon. Someone else was already skinny dipping. The night roared with youth, the kind of chaos that felt endless. Around midnight, I climbed onto the pool deck with a champagne bottle in hand. 218, I shouted. Foam exploded into the air. My friends cheered. I poured some over my head, laughing as cold bubbles ran down my face. It was perfect, the kind of moment you wished would freeze forever, until I looked up. Across the backyard, past the fence at the edge of the woods, someone was standing there. A woman. She looked wrong somehow, too still. Her arms hung loose by her sides. The dim garden lights barely reached her face, but I could make out her wide eyes, glassy and unblinking, fixed on me. Her lips curved slowly into a smile. "Yo, Tyler!" Jake shouted, breaking my focus. "Get over here, man!" When I looked back, she was gone. I told myself it was just some drunk wanderer from the nearby trail, but a chill settled in my gut that I couldn't shake. By 3 a.m., most of my friends were passed out, some inside on couches, others sprawled around the pool. I was too wired to sleep. I lay back on the lounger, half drunk, half awake, watching the moon shimmer over the lake. The air was cool, calm, silent, until someone exhaled on my face. A soft, wet breath. My eyes snapped open. She was there, that same woman, inches from me. Her grin stretched ear to ear, teeth crooked and yellowed. One was missing. Her skin looked pale, cracked in places like paper left in the rain. What the hell? How did you get in here?" I stammered. She tilted her head, her voice raspy but calm. "Happy birthday, Tyler. It's time to come home." "What?" Before I could move, a scream echoed from inside the house. Then another. I stumbled to my feet and sprinted inside. Blood everywhere. The walls, the floor, the furniture, drenched. It wasn't just splattered. It dripped, thick and dark. My friends were standing around, terrified. None of them were hurt. But the smell, that iron stench, filled every breath I took. "Where the hell did this come from?" Jake yelled. I shook my head, backing away. "I don't know. Something inside me whispered. She did this. I ran back outside, but the woman was gone. Only faint laughter echoed through the trees. Jake grabbed my shoulder. "Tyler, don't go out there, man. I'll be back." "Lock the doors," I said, snatching my flashlight and jacket. The woods behind the house were dense, crawling with shadows. Every twig crunch made me jump. My flashlight flickered as I called out, "Hey, lady, who the hell are you?" No answer, just the wind. Then I heard it. Voices, low, rhythmic, whispering through the trees. A strange chant. "Ore refetanus, ave saitanis, benedicta." My stomach twisted. I followed the sound to a clearing and froze. A circle of fire burned in the dirt. Around it, a group of people in red robes swayed in unison, their hoods covering their faces. The air reeked of burnt flesh, and standing at the center was her. Her eyes glowed orange in the firelight. "Welcome home, Tyler," she said, her tone soft, almost maternal. "You've grown so much." "What the hell are you talking about?" I shouted, trembling. "Who are you people?" She took a step forward, raising her blood-stained hands. "I am your mother." My breath caught. "What? Did your parents never tell you the truth?" she said. "How they found you in these woods. How they stole you from me." My chest tightened. "You're insane." "You were born here, child," she whispered. "Born under the night of black fire. You are the son of the Lord below, the one they call the Dark One." I backed away. No, you're crazy." "My parents, they lied," she hissed. "They feared you. They took you from us before the ritual was complete." The air around me seemed to pulse, heat radiating from the fire. Suddenly, screams echoed behind me. My friends. I turned and saw a glow rising through the trees. The lake house. It was on fire. "No!" I bolted back, heart pounding. By the time I reached it, flames were pouring out of the windows. My friends were trapped inside, pounding on the glass, screaming my name. The doors wouldn't budge. I tried kicking them, pulling them, anything. But the fire ate through everything too fast. Then their screams stopped, and all that remained was the crackle of burning wood and the reflection of flames on the lake. When I got back home at dawn, I could barely breathe. I banged on the door until my dad opened it, half asleep. "Tyler? Jesus Christ, what happened to you?" Dad, they're all dead. Everyone's dead," I sobbed. He grabbed my shoulders. "Calm down. Tell me what happened. This woman went in the woods. She said you stole me from her, that I'm not your son." My mom appeared in her robe, her face pale. "Tyler, don't listen to... Is it true?" I shouted. They froze. "Tell me." My dad's lips trembled. "Son, we found you near Coldwater Woods. You were just a baby. Your parents were gone, and..." Before he could finish, his skin began to crack. "Dad?" Ash fell from his face. His eyes went white. His body crumbled into dust in front of me. "Mom!" I screamed, running to her. "What's happening?" As soon as I touched her arm, she disintegrated too, vanishing like smoke. I fell to my knees, choking on tears, staring at the pile of gray dust where my parents used to be. Then the pain started, a burning in my chest, deep, suffocating. I gagged, coughing until something hard tore through my throat. 3 rusted iron nails clattered onto the floor, slick with blood. I screamed, clutching my chest as the world spun. The door creaked open. The woman, my supposed mother, stood there with her red-robed followers. Her smile was soft now, loving. "Your powers have awakened, my son," she said. "You can no longer touch humans. They will turn to ash." I backed away. "Stay away from me. You are one of us now," she whispered. "You were never meant for their world." I looked at the ashes on the floor. My hands trembled. "No," I muttered. "I'm not like you." She stepped closer. "Yes, you are. You were born from my offering to the Dark One. Your blood carries his mark. You belong to the night." The air thickened around me. The house shook. Lamps shattered. My veins pulsed black under my skin. Her voice became distant. "Come, my child. The world has no place for your kind, but we do. Let us teach you." I looked into her eyes, those empty, bottomless pits, and for the first time I felt it. The hunger. The whisper inside me that wasn't mine. It told me she was right, that I was born from darkness, that I was meant to feed. Now I live with them, deep in the woods where the moon never feels warm. We pray in circles of flame. We offer the innocent to the fire. Each night, I feel less human. Each night, the Dark One speaks clearer. They call me Lior. It means the light that fell. Funny, right? My human parents named me Tyler. It means maker of bricks. But the woman who birthed me says it means nothing in the language of the damned. I can drain a man's soul through his eyes now. I can turn flesh to ash with a touch. And yet sometimes when I see the moon's reflection on the lake, I remember that night. The laughter, the champagne, the smell of freedom. And for a second I miss being human. Just for a second. Then I remember what I am, and what I was born to do. The fire burns brighter when I say his name, and the woods whisper it back. Ora Refitanis, Ave Saitenis. The night belongs to me now. I always thought birthdays were supposed to be fun, loud, and full of people you love. Mine was until last year. The night that made me realize that some family stories aren't just tales told to scare kids. I turned 19 that New Year's Eve. Yeah, I was one of those December 31st babies. My dad always joked that I came into the world trying to steal the New Year's spotlight. My parents, like every year, decided to merge both celebrations, my birthday and New Year's, into one big family event. This time, though, we weren't doing it at our house. My Aunt Sandra had gone abroad for a year to work in the Philippines, and she'd offered us her big countryside home in Ash Grove, Oregon. The place was massive, long hallways, high ceilings, dark wooden floors that creaked even when no one was walking. She had a local caretaker who stayed there most of the year, a quiet man named Mr. Harlan, who my mom said was a little off but harmless. When we got there that afternoon, I remember the house being colder inside than it was outside, even with the heaters on. Guess Aunt Sandra forgot to pay the ghost for heating, my cousin Lily joked as she dragged her suitcase across the floor. "Don't start that again," my mom said, rolling her eyes. "There are no ghosts here, just bad insulation." But Lily wasn't kidding. My cousins had told me a dozen times that the house was haunted, that Sandra once woke up to the sound of someone brushing their hair in the guest bathroom, that she'd find the sink full of black strands every morning even though she lived alone. I laughed it off like I always did. I wasn't one for ghost stories. I was more worried about whether my friends from town could make it up to the countryside before midnight. By 6, the whole family had arrived. We had roast chicken, sparkling cider, champagne for the adults, and some cheap beer that my dad pretended not to see us drink. The living room was filled with that golden New Year's glow, warm lights, music from someone's phone speaker, my little cousin Jake running around with glow sticks yelling, "Happy birthday, Eli," even though it was still early. I smiled, pretending to enjoy it all, but honestly, I felt off, like I'd walked into someone else's party. The house's energy was strange, too still for a place filled with people. By 10, my friends still hadn't shown up. The snow had started to fall outside, coating the world in silence. "Guess it's just family this time," my dad said, patting my shoulder. "Come on, son." One last party before adulthood takes over. He poured me a drink, a mix of cider and champagne, and everyone gathered around the TV for the countdown show. 11:55 p.m. The noise was deafening. Everyone was laughing, shouting, clinking glasses. My uncle, half drunk, tried to dance with the dog. I stood by the big glass window watching the snow glow under the porch light. Lily came up beside me. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I chuckled. "Not yet. Maybe later." She smirked. "You ever been down the East Hall? Where the guest bathroom is?" "No, why?" She shrugged. "That's where Sandra said she heard the hair brushing sounds. The one with the old mirror." "Cool, I'll pee outside then." We both laughed, but something about her tone didn't sit right. 11:59 p.m. "All right, everyone ready?" my mom yelled. 10. The countdown started. The room pulsed with energy. 9. I jumped up on the couch, yelling with everyone. 8, 7, 6, 5. I laughed, spinning my drink in my hand. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. Everyone screamed. Champagne bottles popped. My uncle banged pots together. I laughed, dizzy with the noise and lights, until the urge to pee hit me hard. I slipped away, unnoticed, weaving through the hallway toward the bathroom. The East Hall was quieter. Too quiet. The laughter behind me dulled to a muffled echo. I flipped the light switch, but the first 2 clicks did nothing. "Come on, don't do this to me now," I muttered, smacking the wall. On the 3rd try, the light flickered on, dim, yellowish, buzzing faintly. The door was old, thick and heavy, painted with that dull, off-white color old houses love. I pushed it open. The smell hit first, musty, mixed with something faintly sweet, like old perfume. And then I saw her. A woman stood by the sink, her back turned toward me. Her hair was black, not brown, not dark, but black, like ink bleeding through water. It fell almost to her waist. She wore a long, loose white dress that seemed to glow under the dying bulb. Her skin was pale, not pale, pale, but that strange, lifeless tone, like candle wax. I froze. My heart thumped so loud it hurt. Hey ma'am," I stammered. She didn't move. I think you've got the wrong house." Still nothing. I blinked. Once. Twice. She was still there. I rubbed my eyes, half convinced I was seeing some reflection trick, but her outline didn't waver. Then slowly, painfully slowly, her head began to turn. Not her body, just her head. Her neck tilted slightly until I could see her cheek, then her chin, and then one pale, glassy eye looking directly at me. My knees nearly gave out. I slammed the door shut and bolted. "Whoa, dude, you okay?" Jake shouted as I ran back into the living room. Everyone was still laughing, clinking glasses. Nobody noticed how pale I'd gone. I sat down hard on the couch, gasping. My mom looked over. "You good?" "You look sick." Yeah, bathroom light freaked me out." "Old houses do that," my dad chuckled. "You're fine." But I wasn't fine. Minutes later, Lily let out a shriek. "Guys, look at this." She was holding my phone. I'd left it charging on the table earlier. "What's wrong?" my mom asked. Lily's voice trembled. "Eli, these are your photos, right?" I took the phone from her, and my stomach dropped. She'd been taking selfies with me earlier that night, goofing around, making faces, but in the corner of almost every picture just behind us, there she was, the woman in white, closer in each photo, first near the hall, then by the doorway, then standing almost right behind me. "Holy hell," I whispered. My uncle leaned in. "That's a reflection. A trick of the light, maybe?" "There's no mirror behind us," I said quietly. "That wall's solid." The room went dead silent. Lily deleted the photos almost immediately, whispering something under her breath. I looked around. Every creak, every tick of the old clock made my skin crawl. I wanted to go home right then, but Mom stopped me. "Don't freak yourself out. You've been drinking. You probably saw your own shadow." I didn't argue. I just sat there gripping the edge of the couch, staring at that dark hallway. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it, the way her head turned, the color of her skin, that faint smell of perfume. So I checked the bathroom again. It was freezing inside. The light flickered weakly. And then I saw it. The mirror above the sink, covered in a thin fog, like someone had just breathed on it. 3 words were scrawled across the glass, written with a finger. "Don't lock it." I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the rug, my pulse racing so hard I thought I'd pass out. The door behind me suddenly creaked, a slow, dragging sound, as if someone was pushing it open from the other side. I didn't stay to find out. I ran, slammed my bedroom door, and didn't close my eyes the whole night. When morning came, my parents said the caretaker, Mr. Harlan, had gone missing. His room at the back of the property was empty, his bed unmade. The only thing he'd left behind was a hairbrush sitting on the dresser, strands of long black hair still caught in its bristles. That was the last time any of us stayed there. I don't celebrate my birthday anymore. And every time I hear someone brushing their hair at night, I freeze, because I can still smell that perfume, faint, sweet, and wrong. I still remember that day like it happened yesterday, November 28, 2009. The day that changed everything for me. Back then, I was a single mother trying to raise my little girl, Lily. She had just turned 7 that year, and all she ever talked about for weeks was this limited edition doll called Daniela's Dream Edition. Every girl in town wanted one. It was the kind of doll that sang, blinked, and came with a little wardrobe and diary. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't just about the money for me. It was about a promise. Lily had worked so hard that school year. Her teacher, Mrs. Taylor, had called me a week before to say, "Your daughter aced every single test. You must be so proud," and I was. God, I was. So I promised her, "If you keep it up, baby, Mommy's gonna get you that doll for your birthday." She smiled so big that day, hugging me like I'd just handed her the moon. But I didn't realize then what that promise would cost me. The morning of November 28th was chaos. I'd already been to 6 stores by noon, all sold out. Every parent I met had the same exhausted look on their face, some even laughing about it like it was part of the holiday madness. But I wasn't laughing. Lily's birthday was the next morning, and I couldn't show up empty-handed. I stopped by a diner around 2 p.m., just to grab a quick coffee and regroup. The waitress, an older woman named Donna, noticed the frantic look on my face. "You all right, honey? You look like you've been running a marathon. I've been to almost every store in town looking for that stupid Daniela doll," I said, half laughing, half crying. "It's for my daughter's birthday tomorrow. They're all sold out." Donna smiled kindly and said, "Oh, those things are like gold this year. My granddaughter's been begging for one. Maybe try North Hill Mall? My cousin works there. Says they just got new stock in the back." "North Hill Mall?" I repeated. "That's like 40 minutes out of town." She shrugged. "If it's for your kid, it's worth it." I thanked her, tossed some bills on the counter, and drove straight there. By the time I reached North Hill Mall, the sky had turned gray. The winter air had that kind of cold that seeps into your bones. I parked near the back lot and rushed in. The toy store was buzzing with noise. Parents arguing, kids whining, shelves half empty. I scoured every aisle, my heart pounding with frustration. There were dolls everywhere, but not the doll. "Excuse me," I asked one of the clerks, a teenager with a name tag that said Sam. "Do you have any Daniela's Dream Edition dolls left?" He gave me a sympathetic look. "Lady, those sold out 2 weeks ago. You might find a knockoff at one of the discount stores down the highway." I sighed and muttered, "Figures." That's when I noticed someone watching me. He was standing near the end of the aisle, tall, thin, with a brown jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. He looked like he was maybe in his late 30s. When our eyes met, he smiled politely and said, "You looking for that Daniela doll, ma'am?" I froze for a second. "Yeah. How'd you know?" He chuckled. "You've been walking up and down this aisle 3 times now. I figured you weren't just browsing." I smiled awkwardly, still cautious. "Yeah, I've been all over town. My daughter's birthday's tomorrow, and I promised her I'd get it." The man nodded. "Well, you might be in luck. Name's Harold. I own a small discount shop over on Ridgefield Road. I picked up a few dolls last week for resale. I'm pretty sure one of them's that Dream Edition." My eyes lit up. "Are you serious?" He grinned. "Sure am. They're still in my truck, though. I can show you if you want." I hesitated. Something in me said to be careful. I glanced toward the store entrance where the mall security guard was standing, a man named Rick, who I'd seen a few times before whenever I shopped here. "Hey, Rick," I called out, half joking. "You got any of those magic dolls in the lost and found?" Rick laughed. "Wish I did, ma'am. Those things are harder to find than parking at Christmas." I smiled and said, "This gentleman here says he's got one in his truck. I'll be right back." Rick gave Harold a quick look, not hostile, just curious. Then he said, "All right, ma'am. Just be careful. Parking lot's been sketchy lately after dark." "Thanks, Rick," I replied, and followed Harold out. The parking lot was nearly empty. Most of the shoppers had gone home. I noticed Harold's truck was parked all the way near the back, close to a dim light post. "Why so far out?" I asked lightly. He laughed. "Easier to load stuff up, plus less chance of someone dinging my truck, you know?" "Yeah, makes sense," I said, hugging my coat tighter. He opened the truck's back door. Inside were several boxes, all taped shut. He rummaged through them, muttering, "I know I had one left." Then he stopped. Here we go," he said, turning slightly. I stepped closer, and that's when everything went black. A sharp chemical smell hit my nose. A hand pressed a damp cloth over my mouth. I tried to scream, but the sound barely made it out. The last thing I saw before my vision faded was Harold's cold, empty smile. When I woke up, I was lying on a cold metal floor. My hands and feet were tied. The air smelled like gasoline and sweat. "Good morning, sunshine," Harold's voice said somewhere in the darkness. I tried to move, panic rising in my chest. What do you want from me?" He crouched beside me, holding a flashlight to my face. His eyes were dull, like a man who'd stopped seeing people as human a long time ago. "You know," he said quietly, I get moms like you all the time. Desperate, running around trying to make their kids happy. You'd be shocked how many will follow a stranger just for a toy. Tears burned my eyes. Please. Please just let me go. I have a daughter. She's only 7. He smiled. That's sweet. I've got 2 of my own. You know what it's like. Bills, birthdays, never enough money. So I make mine by selling folks like you. I stared at him in disbelief. You're lying. He leaned closer, whispering, You'll see soon enough. I started to sob, shaking my head violently. He stood up and walked away, muttering something to another man I couldn't see. That's when I heard it, the faint sound of sirens in the distance. Shit, Harold yelled, slamming his fist against the van wall. How the hell? The van swerved. I felt it stop abruptly, and before I could even process what was happening, a voice boomed from outside. Police! Put your hands where we can see them. Gunshots followed. Doors flew open. Hands grabbed me, pulling me out of the van. My eyes burned from the flashing lights. I heard someone shouting, We got her! She's alive. It felt unreal, like I'd fallen out of a nightmare and landed somewhere I could breathe again. Later, at the police station, an officer told me what had happened. Your friend from the mall, Rick, he saw you leave with that guy. Said something didn't feel right, so he followed you in his car. When he saw you get dragged into the van, he called it in and stayed on them till backup arrived. I broke down crying. He saved my life. Rick came by later that night, still in uniform, his face tired but smiling. You all right, ma'am? He asked gently. I don't even know how to thank you, I said. You didn't have to. He shook his head. No, I did. I got a little girl too. Couldn't just watch that happen. The next morning, before Lily woke up, I got a call. It was Rick again. Sorry to call this early, he said, but I thought you might want to know. One of the store managers found a Daniela Dream doll in their back storage room. Said you could come pick it up if you want. I couldn't stop crying. When Lily unwrapped that doll that morning, she squealed so loud it made me laugh for the first time in days. Rick stopped by that evening. I made dinner, just simple spaghetti, and insisted he stay. He smiled and said, Guess we both kept our promises, huh? 15 years have passed since that day. I still think about it sometimes, not with fear, but with gratitude. For Rick, for the second chance I got. I still have that doll. Lily keeps it in her room, a little worn and faded now. Every time I see it, I remember that no matter how dark the world can get, sometimes all it takes is one person paying attention, one act of kindness to save a life. I never made a big deal about my birthday. Never had. Even as a kid, I was the one who'd cut my cake in the kitchen while my cousins messed around in the living room. I didn't like the attention, the loud singing, or the forced smiles. My mom always said I was born old. Maybe she was right. By the time I turned 19, that quiet habit had stuck with me. I didn't want to go out, didn't want to party, didn't even want to post one of those birthday selfie stories everyone seemed to do. I was perfectly fine with my mom's lasagna and a low-key dinner with my family. But of course, my friends wouldn't let me off that easy. Around 8 that night, I was sitting on my bed, scrolling through my phone, when my best friend Ryan texted me, Yo, man, we're not letting your boring ass waste your birthday again. Get dressed. I laughed, typing back, I already did dinner. I'm good. Let's just chill tomorrow. Seconds later, my phone lit up with a FaceTime call from him. I answered, and his face filled my screen, curly hair sticking out from under a beanie. That goofy grin he always had. Tomorrow? He repeated, scoffing. Nah, bro. Tonight, we're taking the Jeep out to Ridgepine. I frowned. Ridgepine? Isn't that closed off at night? Technically, yeah, Ryan said with a shrug. But nobody's patrolling that trail after dark. It's chill, man. Just a couple miles of dirt and trees. You'll love it. It's your birthday. Come on, day. I hesitated. I knew Ridgepine State Park. It was this big, heavily wooded area about 30 minutes outside town. Families went there for picnics during the day, but by sundown, it was dead quiet. You couldn't even find a ranger there after 8. My other 2 friends, Tyler and Liam, texted me too. Tyler, you're coming, bro. Don't be a buzzkill. Liam, we got the drinks. Don't make us waste gas. That last one made me laugh. I sighed, shut my phone off, and stood up. All right, fine, I muttered, just for a bit. By the time they picked me up, the sky was a dark orange, that strange hour when the light fades but the world still looks like it's holding its breath. Ryan's black Jeep was already dusty from earlier rides, and the smell of cheap cologne and energy drinks filled the air when I climbed in. "Birthday boy," Tyler yelled from the passenger seat, half hanging out the window. He handed me a red plastic cup. We pre-gamed a little. "You started without me?" I said, laughing. "Just a warm-up," Liam said from the back, holding up a bottle of cheap vodka. "You're the guest of honor." Ryan grinned. "Seatbelt on. Let's make it memorable." As we drove toward Ridgepine, the roads got emptier, the lights fewer. By the time we turned onto the State Park Road, there was nothing but trees and the occasional flicker of lightning bugs outside. The entrance to the lot had orange cones blocking it, just like Ryan said. He slowed down, got out, moved one cone aside, and drove through. "See?" he said, smirking. "Easy. Until a ranger finds us." I muttered. Ryan just laughed. "It's your birthday, man. Live a little." The one-lane road leading into Ridgepine was long and winding. Woods on both sides. No light but the Jeep's brights. The deeper we went, the darker it got, the kind of dark where the trees all melt into one endless black wall. We passed a small sign that read, "Trail 14, Ridgepath Loop." "That's the one," Ryan said. "Perfect for off-roading." The dirt trail was narrow, just wide enough for the Jeep. Branches brushed against the windows. Rocks jutted from the ground, and every bump made Tyler yell like he was on a roller coaster. "Bro, this is insane," he shouted over the music. "You sure we won't get stuck?" "I've done this before," Ryan said confidently, gripping the wheel. "Relax." "Yeah, and last time you popped a tire," Liam teased. Ryan flipped him off. "That was one time." The air inside the car was thick with weed smoke by then. Tyler had rolled one and passed it around. I didn't smoke much, but I took a few hits. The windows fogged up slightly, and the smell of earth and pine crept in through the vents. For a while it was fun. The laughter, the blaring music, the thrill of being somewhere we weren't supposed to be. But then, the laughter started dying down. Somewhere between the songs and the bumps, I noticed Ryan slowing the car. "What's up?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Did you guys hear that?" The music lowered. Everyone went quiet. There it was, faint, but sharp. A sound that didn't fit the night. Like a scream. High-pitched. Distant. But definitely human. "Probably an animal," Tyler said, nervously laughing. "Sounded like a woman," Liam muttered. We waited, silent. The only sound was the idle hum of the engine and the wind brushing through the leaves. Then, again that sound. A shriek. Somewhere ahead, echoing through the trees. Ryan turned the headlights forward. The beams cut through the darkness but showed nothing, just trees, mist, and dirt. "I don't like this," I said quietly. "Maybe it's a fox," Tyler said, forcing a laugh. "They scream like that sometimes." Ryan nodded slowly. "Yeah, probably." But his hands were still gripping the wheel tight. After a few minutes, we tried to shake it off. Ryan parked the Jeep in a wider clearing off the trail. The music came back on, softer this time. Tyler poured vodka into our cups, and Liam started retelling some story about his ex that had all of us groaning. For a bit, it felt normal again. Then I said, "I gotta take a leak," and hopped out. The night air hit me like cold water, heavy and silent. I stepped a few feet into the trees, found a spot, and unzipped. About halfway through, I froze. Crunch. A footstep. I wasn't imagining it. Someone had stepped on a branch nearby. I turned, still half zipped, scanning the trees. "Hello?" I called out softly. Nothing. Then another crunch. Closer this time. "Guys," I shouted, backing toward the Jeep. The engine turned on almost immediately, headlights flashing through the trees. Ryan's voice shouted, "Get in, dude." I jumped back inside, heart racing. "What happened?" Tyler asked. "I heard footsteps," I said, like someone walking toward me. Ryan turned his brights up, looking straight ahead, and that's when we saw her. A woman, standing maybe 10 feet in front of the Jeep, right on the edge of the trail. She had a gray hoodie pulled over her head. Her face was shadowed. She wasn't moving. Ryan rolled his window down halfway. You okay?" he called out. No answer. She just stood there. Then, slowly, too slowly, she stepped backward into the trees until she was gone. "What the hell was that?" Liam whispered. "I don't know," Ryan said, "but we're leaving." He shifted the Jeep into reverse, and then Tyler suddenly said, "Wait. Look." We turned, and my stomach dropped. There were more of them. At least 4 figures, all in hoodies, standing just inside the tree line, surrounding the trail. One on each side. None moving. Just staring. "Jesus Christ," Ryan whispered. Liam said, "Dude, drive. Now." Ryan hesitated for half a second too long. Something slammed against the back of the Jeep. A heavy thud. Tyler screamed and spun around, and there, in the red glow of the taillights, was a man, standing inches from the back window, staring straight in. His face blank, his eyes catching the red light, glowing almost animal-like. "Go!" I screamed. Ryan hit the gas. The Jeep tore forward, bouncing over roots and rocks. Branches whipped against the windows as we sped down the trail, every bump jarring through our bodies. Nobody spoke, just the sound of the engine and our panicked breathing. We didn't see the figures again, but I swear I heard something, laughter, maybe echoing faintly behind us. After what felt like forever, the dirt turned to pavement. Ryan didn't stop until we hit the main road and saw the dim lights of the gas station up ahead. He finally pulled over, hands trembling. "Bro," Tyler said quietly, voice shaking. "What the hell was that?" Liam was pale, staring out the window. They weren't normal. You saw their faces. I didn't say anything. My mind was racing, replaying the woman's slow retreat, the way they'd all stood there in silence. Ryan finally said, "We're never going back there. Ever." Nobody argued. We never told anyone what happened that night. Not our parents, not other friends. We deleted the videos and photos we took earlier that night. It felt wrong to keep them. A week later, Ryan sent a link to our group chat. It was a local news article. "Unidentified woman found near Ridgepine Trails. Ongoing investigation." The photo attached was blurry, but I recognized the hoodie. The same light gray one I'd seen that night, standing 10 feet from the Jeep. The article said she'd been missing for over a week. They never caught anyone connected to it. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see that man's face, red lit, staring through the glass. And every year since then, when my birthday rolls around, I stay home. No drinks, no friends, no trails, just me, alone, because some celebrations aren't meant to happen in the dark. I never planned to celebrate my birthday on a damn cruise ship. Honestly, I didn't even plan to celebrate it at all that year. I'd just turned 27, barely paying rent, working double shifts at a diner in Wilmington, North Carolina. My mom kept calling, asking when I'd come visit. My best friend, Ava, was pestering me to at least do something fun for once in your miserable life. I kept saying, maybe next year. Then came him, Colin Hayes. I met Colin on Tinder late one Tuesday night after work. He wasn't like the usual guys. His pictures weren't all gym selfies or fishing shots. There was one of him in a crisp white uniform, the ocean stretching behind him. In his bio, captain for Atlantic Wave Cruises, traveler, dog person, likes quiet dinners and loud thunderstorms. When we matched, I honestly thought it was a joke. I even messaged, "Yeah, right, captain of what? A canoe?" He replied 2 minutes later, "No canoe, something a little bigger." We started talking, then FaceTiming, then meeting for coffee near the docks a few days later. And, yeah, he really was a captain. He was in his mid-30s, charming in that calm, assured way that makes you feel safe just standing next to him. He had that soft southern accent, wore aviators, always smelled faintly of salt water and cologne. The kind of man who'd open your car door and say, "Ma'am," without sounding fake. After a few weeks of casual dates, he told me he wanted to do something special for my birthday. "How about we take the Azure Star out for a few days?" he said, sipping his iced coffee, eyes sparkling. "You mean like an actual cruise?" I laughed. "Yeah, I'll have a cabin set up just for you. We can sail down the coast. You deserve something nice, Lena." He said my name softly, like it meant something. I hesitated. "I can't afford that, Colin. Don't worry about a thing," he said, leaning in. "It's my ship. You're my guest." It sounded insane but flattering, and I thought, why not? For once, I could do something spontaneous, something beautiful. The ship was docked at Cape Charleston Port. The Azure Star was enormous, gleaming white decks, gold-trimmed railings, the faint hum of music echoing from within. Passengers were lined up with luggage, laughing, taking selfies. I felt completely out of place in my thrift store sundress and sneakers. Colin met me near the boarding ramp, crisp in his uniform. That same effortless confidence. "Happy early birthday, sailor." He grinned, handing me a keycard. "Cabin 302. You really did this?" I asked. "Told you. I don't joke about the sea." When I scanned my card at the terminal, the attendant frowned. Miss, your name's not showing up on our list." Colin leaned over, flashed his ID. "She's with me. Captain's guest." The woman nodded, apologetic. Still, something about not being on the list unsettled me. Colin was busy most of the afternoon, handling crew business, so I explored the decks alone. The sunlight shimmered over the ocean. Kids splashed in the pool. Couples sipped cocktails under umbrellas. It should have been perfect, but something about the air felt heavy. Every few minutes, I caught people looking at me. Not the usual glances, these were brief, sharp, almost knowing. When evening came, Colin finally texted, "Meet me at my quarters at 9. Got something special planned." I smiled, thinking maybe he'd arranged a small surprise party. Maybe a cake, a few drinks. Around 8:50, I made my way toward the officer's deck. The hallway leading to his quarters was oddly quiet. No music, no chatter, just the distant thrum of the ship's engines. That's when I saw them, 2 women, standing at the end of the corridor. Their dresses were old-fashioned, one blue, one cream, flowing like something from a 2000s formal night. Their hair was soaked, skin pale, eyes full of anger and sadness mixed together. For a moment, I thought maybe they were drunk passengers. But when I blinked, one of them was suddenly right in front of me. She grabbed my hair so violently I screamed. "Let go," I yelled, stumbling backward. Her grip was ice cold, and her eyes clouded, lifeless. She dragged me several feet down the hall before vanishing like smoke. I bolted. I ran straight to the bridge, gasping, trembling. Colin was inside, alone, adjusting a radar screen. "Jesus, Lena, what happened?" There were women down there, one grabbed me. "What women?" I don't know. Maybe thieves? They tried to." I stopped myself. I wasn't about to say ghosts. Colin's expression darkened. He grabbed his radio. "Security to Corridor C, near my quarters. Check for 2 women. Possibly trespassers." He turned to me, placing a hand on my shoulder. "You're safe now, okay? Nobody usually sneaks onto this ship. We'll check it out." Something about his calm voice reassured me. But another part of me, something deep, told me I should run. When we reached his cabin, the guards were gone, saying they'd found nothing. The hallway was empty. Colin smirked. "See? Probably just some drunk guests. Happens all the time." He unlocked the door and gestured for me to enter. The room was immaculate, white linens, polished wood floors, a massive window overlooking the moonlit water. But there were no decorations, no cake, No happy birthday? I thought you said you had something special planned, I said, half laughing. I do, he replied softly, walking to the closet. Just needed to grab it. He turned his back to me, rummaging through a drawer. As I looked around, something about the mirror above the dresser caught my eye. My reflection stood still, but there were two other figures behind me. It was them, the women from the hallway. Their faces were clearer now, both scarred, their necks slashed, eyes hollow. They weren't looking at me, they were pointing at Colin. Colin, I whispered, what's in your hand? In the mirror, the shine of a knife glimmered, one I hadn't seen in his real hand. But when he turned around, it was there, gleaming under the soft cabin light. You don't like surprises? He asked, smiling too wide. I froze. Colin, what the hell are you doing? Relax, baby. You're overreacting. Put the knife down. You think I brought you here for champagne and cake? He took a slow step forward, eyes dark now, voice dropping. I like to celebrate differently. I bolted for the door, but it wouldn't budge. He'd locked it. Stop, I shouted, slamming against it. Someone help. No one can hear you here, he said, voice calm again. This deck's soundproofed, for privacy. He lunged. I dodged, crashing into the dresser. Pain exploded through my shoulder. The knife sliced the air where my neck had been a second earlier. He laughed softly. You move fast. I like that. Blood trickled down my temple from hitting the wood. My vision blurred. I tried to crawl backward as he crouched low, moving like an animal. Colin, please, why are you doing this? Because I can't stop, he whispered. Because they never left me alone after the first two. His grin widened. But maybe if I finish what I started, they will. As he raised the knife, something impossible happened. I was suddenly thrown backward hard enough that my body smashed into the door, bursting it open. It wasn't him who did it. Something invisible had hit me, with a strength I can't describe. I scrambled out into the hallway, screaming, "Help! He's got a knife!" Colin charged after me, rage twisting his face. But before he could reach me, two security guards rounded the corner. "Captain Hayes?" one shouted. "What the?" Colin swung the knife wildly, but they tackled him to the ground. He fought, screaming, "She's one of them! She's one of them!" As they pinned him down, I collapsed. Everything went dark. I woke up in a hospital bed back on shore. My mother was beside me, eyes red. "Baby, you're safe now," she whispered. A detective came later, showing me photos on a file. "We've arrested Captain Colin Hayes," he said. "He's being charged with attempted murder and 2 prior murders." My breath caught. Prior? Yes, 2 women passengers, both found dead in their cabins on previous cruises. Stab wounds, same ship, same deck. He placed the file on my lap. "Recognize them?" "Recognize them." I looked at the photos and my stomach twisted. The women in those pictures were the ones I'd seen. The ones who dragged me away. The ones who saved me. I celebrated my birthday 3 weeks later, at home, surrounded by family and Ava. No fancy dresses, no champagne, just laughter, pizza, and a cake from the grocery store. When I blew out the candles, I didn't wish for anything, because I realized that night on the Azure Star, sometimes the only thing standing between you and death isn't luck. It's mercy from those who've already suffered. Now, whenever I see the ocean, I feel a chill. I imagine those women still watching over the waves, making sure no one else ends up in that cursed cabin. And sometimes, when the wind hits just right, I swear I hear a whisper over the tide. "You're safe now, Lena. I'll never step foot on another cruise ship again. Ever." I never thought turning 18 would be the night everything I believed about my family would fall apart. My name's Riley Morgan, and I grew up in a quiet part of Burlington, Vermont, where everyone pretty much knew everyone. I wasn't the kind of person who threw big parties. I liked small gatherings, a few close friends, board games, that kind of thing. But my mom had other plans. She wanted my 18th birthday to be the one I'd never forget. If only she knew how true that would become. The morning started out normal enough: balloons, streamers, and my dad teasing that I'd finally have to start paying rent. We'd rented out this old event hall near the town's main square, called Mapleview Lodge. It wasn't fancy, but it had a rustic charm, big windows, creaky wooden floors, and a long corridor that led to a restroom in the back. My mom kept saying, "It'll be perfect for pictures." By 6 in the evening, the place was packed. Family, neighbors, friends from school faces blurred together under the colorful string lights. Music blasted from the DJ booth. People were laughing, drinking and dancing like it was the 4th of July. I stood near the main table, greeting relatives, trying to keep my smile steady even as the noise started to feel overwhelming. Then I saw him. At first, I thought I was imagining things. He stood near the double doors at the entrance, tall, thin, dressed in a charcoal gray suit that looked at least 20 years out of fashion. His tie hung loosely, and his hair was slicked back, but not in a clean way. His eyes scanned the room slowly, methodically, until they landed on me, and stayed there. I remember this chill running through me, like someone had opened a freezer door. He didn't move for a good minute, just stared. I tried to ignore it, told myself he was probably a friend of my dad's or one of the neighbors. But something about him felt off. Too still, too focused. I leaned toward my best friend, Tessa, who was busy taking selfies with her boyfriend. "Hey, do you know that guy by the door?" She looked over, then frowned. "Which one?" "The one in the gray suit." When I turned back, he was gone. I laughed it off, telling myself I'd had one too many sips of champagne. But the uneasy feeling didn't leave. The music grew louder. People were shouting birthday wishes, pulling me into hugs. I tried to have fun, to dance, to forget, but every few minutes, I felt that same prickling sensation, like eyes on me. Around 9, I finally stepped away to catch my breath near the entrance. That's when I saw him again, half-shadowed by the hallway light. This time, he was closer. "Riley," my dad called from behind me, laughing with his coworkers. "Everything okay, kiddo?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just hot in here." Dad raised his beer. "That's my girl. Go cool off, then come back for the toast." I nodded, but I wasn't going to the bar or outside. I needed space, silence. So I walked down that long corridor toward the bathrooms. The noise from the party faded behind me until it was just the low hum of a fluorescent light above. I pushed open the door to the women's restroom. It was empty, thankfully. The smell of bleach hit my nose. I locked myself in one of the stalls and sat there, breathing slow, trying to calm the pounding in my chest. When I finally stepped out, I splashed water on my face and looked at myself in the mirror. My reflection looked pale, almost ghostly under the harsh light. Then, in the mirror, I saw movement behind me. I froze. He was there, standing by the door. The man in the gray suit. He was tall, easily over 6 feet. His eyes caught mine in the mirror, wide and bright, and his mouth twisted into something that might have been a smile if it hadn't looked so wrong. "Hey," he said softly. His voice was low, calm, almost polite. "Happy birthday." My throat tightened. Who are you?" He took a step closer, his shoes squeaking on the tile. "You don't remember me, do you?" I think you're at the wrong." "No," he said quickly, shaking his head. "I'm exactly where I need to be." My heart pounded. "You should leave. My dad's right outside." He smiled wider. "Your dad?" "Yeah, I know him. Real well, actually." Something in his tone made my stomach twist. "What do you want?" I whispered. He tilted his head, eyes soft but empty. "You. Just you. I've waited so long for this moment." I took a step back. My hands trembled. "Stay away from me." He didn't. He moved closer slowly, like he didn't want to scare me, even though I already was. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said. "At least, not the way you think." "Get out!" I screamed, but my voice barely echoed. The music from the hall was too loud. Before I could move, his hand shot out, gripping my wrist tight, cold, almost desperate. "Let go," I shouted, trying to pull free. He leaned in close enough for me to smell his breath, metallic. "Sour? Don't fight it, Riley. I just need to feel it. Need to know what it's like." I yanked my arm as hard as I could, my bracelet snapping in the process. His eyes flicked down at the beads scattering on the floor. I took the chance to shove him back and sprint toward the door, but he grabbed my hair, pulling me down. I hit the tile hard. Pain shot through my side. He knelt beside me, panting, whispering, "You look so much like her. Your mom. You even smile like she used to. That's what makes this so damn hard." My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" He pressed his hand against my throat, not fully choking, just enough to keep me still. His voice trembled. "She took everything from me. But you." He smiled again, trembling. "You're proof I existed. Proof I mattered." I clawed at his arm, my nails scraping skin. He hissed and pressed harder. "Stop struggling, I told you, I'm not a monster, I just need to see you go still. Just once. Please." His words made no sense, but his eyes said everything. He was completely gone. I managed to grab the metal soap dispenser from the counter and swung it as hard as I could. It hit his temple with a sickening crack. He let out a guttural scream and fell sideways. I crawled toward the door, coughing, tears blurring my vision. My hand slipped on the tile. I reached the knob, twisted it, and it flew open. My dad burst in, followed by two of his friends. "Riley." The man on the floor groaned, blood streaking his face. My dad froze. His expression changed from anger to something else, shock, guilt. "What the hell?" he whispered. I looked up at him. "Dad." He tried to, but my dad didn't look at me. He looked at him. The man laughed weakly, clutching his side. "Hey, old man. Long time, huh?" My dad's face went white. "Oh my God." One of his friends stepped forward. "Who is this guy?" But my dad didn't answer, he just whispered, "Riley. He's your brother." The world tilted. "No," I croaked. "No, that's what..." Before I could process it, the man, my supposed brother, started laughing, blood pooling under his cheek. "She didn't tell you, huh? Typical." "Shut up," my dad shouted, stepping forward. "You weren't supposed to be here." He looked at me then, voice breaking. "Your mother and we years ago, before we married, I didn't need him to finish." The pieces slammed together like glass breaking. I backed away, shaking. "You lied to me," I whispered. "All this time." My mom rushed in a few seconds later, eyes wide, her makeup streaked. "Oh God." "Riley." But I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at anyone. The police came, the paramedics, the questions. I gave my statement in pieces. They said he'd be charged with assault, maybe attempted murder. I didn't care. I just wanted to go home. That night, my mom tried to sit beside me in the hospital room. I turned my face to the wall. "Riley," she whispered, "we thought keeping it from you would protect you. We didn't want you to grow up with that shame." "Shame?" I rasped, my throat raw. "You mean him?" Tears welled in her eyes. "He wasn't always like this. He used to be." "Stop." I couldn't hear anymore. Outside my window, the sky was just starting to lighten. Birds were chirping, like nothing had happened. I stared at the IV drip beside me, the slow rhythm of the monitor, and I realized that nothing about my life would ever be the same again. Every birthday since then, I skipped the party. No candles, no cake, no music. I just sit alone and listen to the silence, because I know somewhere out there, whether in a cell, a hospital, or a memory, I still have a brother. And every now and then, I swear I can still hear his voice in my head, whispering the same words he said that night. "You look so much like her." I never thought my 21st birthday would be something I'd still have nightmares about. I'd been waiting for that day for years, not because of the drinking age or any wild plans, but because it felt like a milestone, a kind of checkpoint between being a dumb teenager and actually having your life start to take shape. My Uncle Travis, who lived down in Clearwater, Florida, had a beautiful house on the water, big backyard, pool, tiki bar, even a boat dock with those string lights hanging across the deck. It was the kind of place people rented out for weddings. So when he told me, "You can use the house for your birthday, just don't wreck the place," I almost couldn't believe it. I just finished my second year of college, living back home in a small apartment with 2 roommates and 0 privacy. Travis's place felt like a dream escape. I started planning the party weeks in advance, nothing insane, just a bunch of friends, some beer, music, and a good time. But you know how that goes. I invited maybe 15 people. Each of them brought a few others. And by the time it was 9 p.m., my uncle's backyard looked like a college tailgate. Music blasted through the surround system, bass so deep you could feel it in your chest. People were swimming, playing beer pong on the patio, couples making out under the deck lights. I was too buzzed to care that the crowd had gotten way out of hand. "Bro, this place is sick," my friend Tyler yelled over the music. He was already double-fisting 2 cans of Coors Light. "Yeah, just try not to drown anyone, all right?" I laughed. I kept repeating the same rule to everyone who came through. Stay outside. House is off limits unless you're using the bathroom. Still, as the night went on, I noticed a few people sneaking inside. Some just to use the bathroom, others pretending to. But I caught one couple in the downstairs guest room at one point, and that was enough to make me anxious. By 11:30, I was trying to calm things down a bit. But the crowd only seemed to grow. I swear there were people there I'd never seen before. Some guys with beanies and dark hoodies I didn't recognize were hanging near the fence, just standing around and whispering. Every time I looked their way, they'd turn their heads. It was around midnight when the first neighbor must have called the cops. The flashing red and blue lights reflected off the pool water like a disco. "Party's over," one of the officers shouted as they came through the side gate. "Let's go, everyone out." It took almost 20 minutes to clear everyone out. Beer cans floated in the pool, and my stomach dropped thinking about the cleanup. Eventually, only a few of my closest friends stayed behind: Tyler, my buddy Chris, and 2 girls from school. We sat around the pool for a while, just talking, trying to sober up a little. One by one, they left until it was just me and Tyler. He was way too drunk to drive. "Dude, just crash on the couch," I told him. "Your uncle said no sleepovers, right?" he mumbled. "Yeah, but one guy won't hurt." I helped him inside, and he pretty much collapsed onto the couch. He was out cold before I even turned off the lights. I locked both backyard gates, then the back door, checked the kitchen lights, and made sure everything was off. When I came back, Tyler was snoring like a bear. I stood there for a second, just staring at the mess: empty bottles, wet footprints, confetti in the pool water. I promised myself I'd clean it all in the morning. Upstairs, I brushed my teeth with my finger and crashed on the bed in the guest room. I don't know how long I was out before the nausea hit me. Maybe an hour later. I stumbled out of bed, ran to the bathroom, and threw up. It was one of those awful, burning hangovers that hit way too soon. I splashed my face with water and leaned against the sink, trying to catch my breath. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Not upstairs, downstairs, near the foyer. Slow, steady, deliberate. At first, I thought maybe Tyler got up to grab some water. But then I remembered how drunk he was. There's no way he'd be walking around. I stepped out into the upstairs hallway and leaned over the balcony railing that overlooked the foyer. The downstairs was mostly dark except for the faint glow of the pool lights through the windows. "Tyler?" I called out. The footsteps stopped. Whoever was down there froze right in the middle of the foyer. I squinted, trying to make out the shape. It looked like a man, standing completely still, head tilted up toward me. But I couldn't see a face, just a dark silhouette. Then, from the living room, I heard soft snoring. Tyler was still asleep. My skin went cold. "Who's there?" I asked again, louder this time. No answer. A floorboard creaked near the kitchen. Then another. Whoever it was moved slowly out of view. I backed away from the railing, heart pounding. I didn't know what to do: run, hide, go back to my room and lock the door. I didn't want to leave Tyler down there, but something told me I wouldn't be much help if I got caught. I pulled out my phone and called Tyler's number, hoping maybe the sound would wake him up. Someone picked up. "Tyler?" I whispered. Nothing. Just breathing. Slow. Heavy. I hung up immediately. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I dialed 911 right after. The operator answered in a calm voice. 911. What's your emergency? I whispered. There's someone inside my uncle's house. I think they broke in. My friend's downstairs, he's passed out, I'm upstairs. Okay, stay on the line with me, the operator said. Can you lock the door to the room you're in? Yes, I whispered, and quietly slid the lock shut. Do not announce that you've called the police, he said firmly. Just stay quiet. Officers are on the way. What's your address? I gave it to him. Then knock knock. Light, almost polite. Right on the door. I froze. The operator whispered, Are they at your door? Yes. Stay quiet, do not respond. The doorknob turned slightly. A slow metal click. Then it stopped. I could hear breathing from the other side of the door. My entire body was shaking. The operator whispered, Help is close. They're almost there. After what felt like hours, but was probably just a few minutes, I heard movement downstairs. Boots. Voices. The police shouting. Clear, clear. I heard the front door creak open fully and the sound of multiple footsteps rushing inside. The operator said, You can go downstairs now. Officers are in the house. I opened the door and shouted, Up here. 2 cops met me on the stairs with flashlights drawn. They found the back door wide open. Tyler was still asleep on the couch, unharmed, drool down his chin. They searched the whole house and said whoever broke in must have run out when they arrived. They asked if anything was missing, but I couldn't tell it wasn't my house. I thanked them, still trembling, and they said they'd leave a patrol car in the area for the rest of the night. When I finally went back upstairs, I couldn't sleep. Every small creak or gust of wind made me jump. I sat by the window until the sun started to rise. 2 days later, my uncle came home early from his trip. I told him about the party, but not the break-in. I just said things got a little out of hand. A week after that, he called me. Hey, he said, you didn't happen to see my Cartier watch, did you? The one I keep in the kitchen drawer. My stomach dropped. It was gone. That was the moment I had to tell him everything. The party, the strangers, the break-in, all of it. He didn't yell, didn't threaten to make me pay for it, just said, in the calmest voice possible, You'll never use my house again. Some. And he never let me. But that's not the part that still haunts me. What keeps me up some nights is remembering the sound of breathing on the other side of that door. That quiet knock. That sense that whoever was there wasn't just looking to steal. They were waiting. I still remember my little sister's 5th birthday like it happened yesterday, and not for a happy reason. I was 11 back then, old enough to think I was way too cool for anything involving tiaras and sparkly teacups. My mom, Rebecca, had booked this fancy little place called Rosie's Tea Garden just outside of town. It was one of those tea room party spots that did full-on princess experiences for little girls, pink walls, lace curtains, crown-shaped cookies, and grown women dressed as Disney knockoffs singing off-key songs about friendship and glitter. My sister Chloe was the star of the day. She'd been talking about it for months, how she was going to wear her belle dress and have royal tea. Me? I wanted no part of it. I was sitting on a chair in the hallway near the entrance. My DS balanced on my knees, lost in Pokemon Diamond. My mom was somewhere in the back talking to the event planner. And Chloe was squealing in delight as one of the princesses sprinkled fairy dust over her curls. That's when I heard a woman's voice say, Hey there, you're Rebecca's kid, right? I looked up. She was standing a few feet away, mid-40 seconds maybe. Brown hair tied in a low bun. Pale yellow cardigan. Big smile. She looked like someone's Sunday school teacher. Yeah, I said, pausing my game. Thought so, she said, smiling wider. You probably don't remember me. I'm your Aunt Linda. Haven't seen you since you were, gosh, maybe 4 years old? That didn't sound totally impossible. My family's huge, and we've got cousins and aunts from marriages I barely know. People always pop up at reunions or holidays acting like I'm supposed to recognize them. So I went along with it. Oh, yeah, maybe, I said. Linda laughed softly. You've gotten so tall. Your mom always said you were gonna shoot up like your dad. I nodded politely. She leaned a bit closer. How's school? You still liking it? It's fine, I said. I'm in 6th grade now. 6th grade, huh? Wow. You must be doing great. I shrugged. I guess. She smiled again. That's wonderful. Hey, listen, I brought Chloe a big dollhouse for her birthday. It's out in my car. I was hoping you could help me carry it in. It's a little heavy. My stomach kind of tightened. Not full fear, just that weird instinctive twinge. Still, nothing seemed off. She sounded normal. She looked normal. Then she added, I also brought another cake chocolate fudge, Chloe's favorite. If you help me, you can have the first slice before everyone else. That sounded nice, but something was nagging at me. My dad had drilled it into me a million times. Don't go with strangers, even nice ones. But in my head, this lady wasn't a stranger. She knew my mom's name. She called her Rebecca, and she knew my sister's birthday theme, even the gift. I hesitated. Where's your car? Right outside, hun, she said gently. Just through the back door. It's closer than the parking lot. The back door part bothered me. I'd seen the parking lot, it was right up front. Why didn't you just bring it through there? I asked. She smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. Oh, there's too many people at the entrance. I didn't want to bump into anyone with the dollhouse. Something about her tone, it changed slightly, quicker, sharper. I was trying to think when she stepped closer, lowering her voice. Come on, sweetheart. Let's hurry before the frosting melts on that cake. I stood up slowly. I can tell my mom to help you, I said. She's right. Oh no. No need to bother her. She cut in, still smiling, but her voice tightened like piano wire. She's busy, isn't she? You're a big boy. You can help. That's when the unease in my chest turned to full-blown fear. I don't know why, but I looked toward the door. She followed my gaze, and I saw it then. Through the small window pane of the back door, there was a car idling right outside, engine running. There was a man in the driver's seat. He was staring straight at us. Linda noticed me noticing. Her smile faltered for half a second before she quickly said, That's your Uncle Ray. Remember him? He helped your dad fix the garage door once. I didn't answer. My throat was tight. If you could just grab the box, she started, reaching for my sleeve. Don't touch me. I snapped, jerking my arm back. Her eyes hardened. The warm, auntly tone was gone. Hey, she said, voice low, almost scolding. Don't be rude. I'm trying to do something nice. Then go get my mom, I said. She took a step closer, her hand tightening around her purse strap. Stop being difficult, okay? Just get away from me, I shouted. Her jaw clenched, and she looked like she was about to grab me again. But right then, from inside the tea room, I heard my mom's voice loud, panicked, calling, Eli, Eli, where are you? Linda froze. My aunt, Teresa, appeared from the other hallway, eyes darting. Eli, there you are. We've been looking for you. I swear I've never seen someone's face change so fast. Linda's smile vanished completely. She turned toward the door, pushed it open, and yelled, Go! The car peeled out of the parking lot before I even blinked. My mom ran to me, kneeling down, grabbing my shoulders. Are you okay? What happened? Who was that? I was shaking so bad my DS almost fell from my pocket. She said she was Aunt Linda. She said she had a dollhouse and cake. Teresa turned to one of the workers, voice trembling. Lock the doors. Right now. They did. The entire tea room went into what I later learned was basically a lockdown. They gathered all the kids into one of the back party rooms and started counting heads. Chloe was crying, clutching her tiara. My mom wouldn't let go of me. She just kept whispering, You're okay. You're okay. Like she was trying to convince herself. The cops showed up maybe 20 minutes later. A pair of officers took me aside to get my statement. I told them everything, what she looked like. The car, the man, her voice, every detail I could remember. The officer, a tall guy with gray hair named Officer Haynes, nodded while taking notes. You did the right thing, son, he said. You trusted your gut. That probably saved your life today. My mom asked him if they could track the car from the cameras outside. But apparently the cameras at Rosie's Tea Garden were just for show. They didn't record anything. The police promised they'd follow up. They never did. Weeks passed, then months. No updates, no arrests. My mom changed our locks, stopped letting us out of her sight at public events, and started using a fake name when booking anything for Chloe. I still think about that woman sometimes. The way she said my mom's name like she'd known her forever. The way she smiled like she'd practiced in a mirror. The way that man was already waiting, with the car running, ready to drive off. How did she know my mom's name? My sister's birthday theme? It's been over 10 years now, and I still don't have answers. Sometimes, when I'm in a crowd and someone says my name, I freeze for a second before turning around just in case it's her, just in case she's back to try again.